and hopefully bringing a bit of sun in on a winter's afternoon. And to finish with my Nocturne and Fire Dance. It was one of the first major compositions. I was always dabbling before this time, and when I was in Paris I was very frustrated by a teacher who wanted to keep me on little exercises and scales for a year. And I always tell the story that for better or for worse, I was living in her apartment in Paris, and she could hear everything that I did, and she would rush in on a cloud of blue Gauloise smoke, and I was trying to play something too difficult, and she'd rush out again on a cloud of blue language, in French, of course. But I got so frustrated that I started to write. In fact, when I wrote this Petite Suite, she said it was far too difficult for me. And, but she was very gracious, and she recorded it and sent it to America, and I won first prize in an international competition. And the check was very handy to an impecunious student. But I also just have to say one thing which was so touching, that in the Nocturne I use a harmonic sequence from Zoltán Kodály's Salmus Hungaricus. And after I'd won the prize, I felt a little guilty, not much, and I wrote to him and I said, look, I've won this prize. And 3 days later I had a letter back from him. He said, how exciting, when are we going to meet you? Come to Budapest. And so we became great friends. And so every time I play this piece I think of him. And well, it's wonderful sometimes how things happen. The Nocturne describes the River Seine at night, when I was waiting for a thunderstorm to break. I was standing on the banks of the river. The willow trees were trailing their ends in the black water. There were glowworms in the hedge and fireflies dancing around. And it was a terrible feeling of oppression. But suddenly the clouds opened and there was a black velvety sky hung with stars. And you'll hear when that happens, and of course that's the moment when I use Kodály's harmonic sequence. And the last movement is called simply Fire Dance, and it was inspired by the music from Paraguay. And all I can tell you is it's a hot little number.